Thank you very much, everybody here. Especially I thank Madam Ambassador and the staff of the embassy in Germany. They are doing a lot. While there a lot of, glums is going on in international community regarding Sudan, I thank the German government for paying a lot the humanitarian access for Sudan in different way, especially where in Darfur, the German is one of the greatest donator for the humanitarian access, and that is why we are thankful for that. While I am speaking before you, the situation is same and there, especially the humanitarian situation. Not only in Darfur, in Sudan as well. But if I would talk about the Darfur in particularly, because of the atrocities and the genocide, very clearly I'm naming what happened in genocide in Darfur is genocide and ethnic cleansing by the RSF, and RSF is the notorious force even before this war. Since 2003, the same Janjaweed, same militias, not only just the organization, but even their characters, the same guys who committed genocide in Darfur in 2003, everybody knew that time, and that time never passed because the genocide never stopped. Sometimes you may face the pausing time, but actually it was going on regarding the policies of the Janjaweed. And if the people follow it just the 5 years ago, after toppling of Islamist regime and the Janjaweed when they came, about the 3 biggest atrocities happened in Guinea. In Kelanding 1 in 2021, Kelanding 2, 2022, and in Guinea also inside, all those committed against the IDPs, those living in Guinea, around Guinea, and Krenik as well in 2022, by the same Janjaweed, by the same RSF, by the same leaders and command of the chain of the command, Hemete and his brothers. Each one of these incidents, we lost more than 300 people. No, actually, the specific incident. Each one of the incidents, we lost more than 300 people, including children and women and the elders. And that's what's going on until we reach the date 15 April 2023, which was the coup d'etat. I was witness. I was in Khartoum. It's not a story that's been told. It is the physical and in my presence happened. And even we stood to initiate the reconciliation between so-called 2 generals by then to stop what was going on so as to not happen what happened today. We have been witness until the last day that the bullet has started in 15/20/23. It was the coup d'etat, because a lot of words have been said by Minni himself. Minni, one of the days, it was 12 April 2023, just 24 hours or a little bit more before the incident happened, or before the coup d'etat's date happened. When we pressed him about to decline what is he's going to commit it, which is disaster for whole Sudan, he said, he's seen many people, and many people, they love Khartoum too much. But I will make it is the just package of the ash, and you just sit down and listen and see it. It will happen. This is what he said in 12, just 3 days before. In the same meeting, Minni said, if Burhan is going to hand over, it's okay. Otherwise, I will put him in prison. This is what he says. That means his intention was the coup d'etat. Anyway, that's not our concern. Our concern is now what is happening right now and what is the result of that action. After he acted, they immediately, when they attacked the military headquarters, after 2 or 3 days, they shifted to bank. They looted all banks, including the central banks. And then after they finished the banks, they shifted to the houses of the people and looted every properties, transported to Emirat, transported to Chad, and so on. After they finish every values properties for the people, immediately they start looting the cars. After they get and they finish the cars, they went to the gardens until they finalize it, every properties of the civilian. And they started to destroy the infrastructures of the country. This is what happened. By that time, Darfur was not safe area. It was the same day when they started attacking the military garrisons. They attacked El-Fashir's garrisons also. The first area where they occupied, it was a hospital. After 2 weeks, I reached El-Fashir from Khartoum. When I reached El-Fashir, only area occupied by the RSF, it was the hospital. And that's why I call commanders of the RSF. By then, I was not the part of this war. I was neutral. I called Opshok and Nur Guba. I asked them that to withdraw from the hospital. They refused. Next week, they attacked Kutum. When they occupied Kutum, before everybody was safe, when they occupied Kutum, they started eliminated every indigenous African person there. He was one of the activists. If one day you just show your face in the WhatsApp or wherever as the activist, a non-Arab, they been eliminated silently. Next 3 days, they attacked Tawila. It's the place where the IDP is there now. And they did the same. They burned hospitals. They burned, marketed, and looted. During that time, they were fighting the Masalit as tribe. While the military garrisons were there. They didn't attack the military and never shot one bullet to the military side. They attacked immediately the Masalit until they eliminate it finally, and then they come to the military garrisons. That means the intentions is not the only military. The intentions is not to govern. The intentions to own or to possess the area, which is the all policies for the democratic change, demographic change, which is going on up to now. When we come finally to the matter of El-Fashir, it is not sudden for us, none for the international community, especially the European ambassadors to Khartoum. They knew very well what will going to happen. They knew very well because they were witness what happened in Niala, what happened in Zalinja, what happened in Jinena. They were witness. And they know the notorious forces, which is what is exactly reference of this so-called RSF. The name is just the laundry of the genociders. Everybody knows that. These people, they are tribal, they are family business, and even they are mercenaries. They're coming from the different countries. Everybody knows, more than us. Those who have the access, those who have satellites, those who have intelligence to collect the information, they know more than us. They are not Sudanese. Less than 50% of them, they are Sudanese. Above 85%, they are mercenaries. They are coming from different areas: Libya, Chad, Mali, North Nigeria, Central Africa, South Sudan, Colombia, including Emirat, funding, guiding, commanding by Emirat. And this is very long. We don't know what exactly Emirat wants from our country, but what we know is committed genocide right now. Emirat, it committed genocide. This is family. This is final words that I can say to Emirat right now. I know Emirat has a lot of influence. Money influence, diplomatic influence, a lot of influence Emirat has to the different countries, including the many European countries, the greatest countries. And that is why pressures of the Emiratis kept them and result them to just keep silent and decline from the value of those founded their own countries. The countries in Europe founded under the values of human rights, democracy, equality, and a lot of things, including the resource should be the benefit of the human being anywhere, not benefit of some human being, and other will be victims on for their life. And this is what is happening. Let's come to the El-Fashir. Just the previous days before the El-Fashir fall, I don't say El-Fashir had fallen. Never. El-Fashir has been burned. El-Fashir buried. El-Fashir eliminated as the human being in front of international eyes. When I say international eyes, including German, because German has ambassador to Sudan. He is following everywhere. He is following everywhere. The first ambassadors, he condoles me, they give me the condolences after the massacre of El-Fashir, the German ambassador, and then Turkish. But what's happening, or what happened, it was sorrowful, really, when I hear from Madam Ambassador say that he brief you and then you will be happy. I don't know, either you will be happy or you will sorrow, but I brief you what's happening exactly. Just 2 weeks, 3 weeks before, I was in communication with the ambassadors, as I said, of the Europes. They were asking me as if the fighting is causing the problem. It was attempts to equalize and saying where is parties, 2 parties. They say 2 parties. Very unfortunately, you hear from somebody, ambassador or somebody, knows everything, but when he said that you want to divide the crime between the innocents and the criminal. I was saying there are not 2 parties. Who is putting the Fashir in siege is RSF, number 1. Number 2, who is blocking the aid to enter El-Fashir is RSF. Number 3, who is burning the hospitals, intention target to the hospitals, is the RSF. Who is targeting and shelling El-Fashir into the precise area where the people assembled, the gatherers of the areas, including the children. Who is killing is the RSF. Who killed more than 100 people in a mosque? It's RSF. Who is burning the convoy of the WFP in Kuma? It was RSF. Who blocked more than 100 convoy? It was going to Al-Fashir. It's RSF. How you say that's the 2 parties? I don't know. You want to divide the crime to the innocents and to the perpetrators, which is very unfortunate. That was our tough speaking. One of the ambassadors said, do you think when I said, at the end, we will fight for the last bullet. We will fight for the last bullet. But at the end, if they could occupy the Fashir, it is greater genocide ever will happen in 21st century. He said, I don't think so. I said, why? He said, because I talked to Taishi. Taishi guaranteed me that he went to talk to the people inside Al-Fashir to withdraw from Al-Fashir. I said, this is one of the crimes also, because you are forcing the people leaving their own homes. Why you not tell Taishi, Janjaweed, to stop killing and to stop attacking the civilian? Instead of just you asking him to leave the people by force. This is one of the crimes. Immediately after Al-Fashir, I saw the ambassador. I remind him that you were one of the parties those contributed on this genocide, unfortunately. Anyway, there's a lot of bitterness that I can never mention here in this very table, but that is what's happening until we reach to the last point, which the Janjaweed themselves, they documented what they were doing, everybody. So they started from hospital, eliminated more than 460 people immediately on the spot, and then they surrounded Al-Fashir. They pushed back, everybody was fleeing from the Fashir, inside the Fashir, and so as to be eliminated inside in silence. It's happened. Only Yale University documented by satellite. And then after that, the international community somehow felt shameful. They reacted, and still they are shying away to say RSF is the criminal organization. It is criminal organization. It's a criminal organization. And even not the RSF. The Emirate, which is using this dirty money for buying the conscience of the human being and conscience of the governments. And even those alleged they are the valuable government, they respect the values of the human being and the equality, and those signed a lot of charters in the UN founding time. This is the shameful time, and that is why every pity and the simple people you see in Sudan, they think that what we've been deceived in over 80 years, it is deceptions, biggest deceptions, which is that they say the human being, values of the human being, human rights. This is what is the people of the Sudan right now feeling. Now the violence not stop in El-Fashir, but in El-Fashir it was the more greatest than ever it will happen in 21st century. When revised back to Rwanda, 800,000. When we come to Germany, the previous days of the Second War, 6 million. When we revise and recall our minds and the incidents happen in the history, one of the biggest problem and the greatest genocide and ethnic cleansing happen is in El-Fashir. Unfortunately, that's happened under the time that the international community believe and sign it on the human being and the human rights charters many times. And there is ICC also, International Criminal Court, for the international justice, not only the specific and the individual countries' institutions. This is what happened. This is not the first time I've been here in Germany. It's not my first time I've been here in Europe, many times. I'm visiting a lot of areas. France, just a week, less than a week ago, I was in Paris. I will be also in Brussels. I will be in Amsterdam. I'm not sure to have any sympathies from them, but only things that it is my job to tell them. It is my job to talk. It is my job to just say, let's happen, will happen. This is the situation that's happening now. The second part or the third part of this war is Emirate. Oil, gas, money those flowing for igniting the war and fueling the war in Sudan. A lot of initiative, international initiative, are looming. And people are hearing that here and there. There is Quart, there is, a lot of initiative. Only positions of the government of Sudan, it is one. Please, international community, Emirat is the part of the international community, while it's a part of the member, it has the membership in the UN. Please, UN and the Security Council has to take action to stop Emirat from fueling the war in Sudan. And then our war, the internal talk and discussions of the Sudanese, it is very easy that we could manage our problem. But while Emirat is the rich country, and they are using their all resource for just how to break a Sudan, this is difficult to accept that. One of the reasons that we are saying that the Emiratis who's recruiting the mercenaries, because the numbers of the mercenaries, those fighting in Sudan, they are more than the 85% of the people, of those fighters, they are mercenaries. Commanding is not commanding by Hemeti and his brothers. They are just tool for the Emirat. They are commanding by the Emirat. The official and the officers from Emirat, they participated in the Fashir. Officers from Gemena participated in the Fashir. More than 5,000 from South Sudan participated in a Fashir. So, if we would like to sign any kind of deal or cessation of hostility, we sign with who? We sign with mercenaries or sign with the citizen. We know our citizens. But at the same time, our sovereignty is violated, and our country is being violated by these mercenaries, those pushes by Emirat, brought by Emirat. If Emirat not stopped, we cannot sign for them. This is one of the things that we've been talking the government Sudan. The peace is our priority. Because who is dying, who is injured, is Sudanese. And who is shedding tears is Sudanese, not Emirat. And that is why let's say Emirat is stop. This is number one. Number two, we said also, if we are going to do anything for humanitarian reasons, let the RSF just withdraw from the vital areas, cities, houses, hospitals, schools, so as to give the chance for resuming the life of the people. While, for example, a city like Fashir, it was more than the 2 million people, nearly 3 million people. If these areas just become ruins without people, what is the meaning of the signing any agreement with the RSF that's occupied the ruins areas? And we know the people will not return back while the RSF is there. So let them, they withdraw and give the chance to the people to come and their own life. Number three, we said also, why they not release the all abducted people, not war prisoners. Let them, they keep the war prisoners. But the abducted people and families, there are more than 20,000 people abducted since they started this war. From Khartoum, from Darfur, from Jazeera, Kordofan, different areas of Sudan. They abducted many people, including the children. Let them, they release those people. Either they give them to the Red Cross or just they release. Number four, why they not separate themselves as the RSF from the mercenaries and tell the mercenaries to just withdraw outside Sudan. This is also one of the most important points. And then we can identify exactly who is fighting us. Either they segregate themselves and itemize who is who, or we cannot sign with foreigners. Those violated our countries and our homes. Number 5, the borders, international borders, and the cross borders areas, including the airports and airstrips, those they are using, Emirat using for fueling the war and equipping the RSF and their mercenaries. This area should be neutralized. Take Emirat's hands from the areas, and this area should be neutralized. And Emirat keep away to not violate our air, not violate our countries. And then the time to be convenient for sitting down with our conflict party. After that time, we can exactly identify RSF is fighting us or somebody else is fighting us. This is the position of the government of Sudan. But international community is not appreciating that position because this is legitimate position. I am the government of Sudan. I have a right to protect our borders. This is the position of the government of Sudan right now. They are putting on their agendas, head of every agenda is the peace, cessation of hostility, humanitarian, access to be flow, but in the same time, the time is not convenient to do so, while the RSF and Emirat controlling every aspect and every corner of the human being's needs. So this is my own position. Thank you very much for this opportunity. And this is a very brief information from the huge of this crisis in Sudan. And we will be happy to receive your answer and questions.
My name is Gerrit Kurz. I work here at think tank German Institute for International Security Affairs.
We met somewhere?
We met last year, actually. You came
at your office?
Yes.
Okay.
You remember. Very good.
You're welcome, please. The white people, they are
same.
all same, but I could recognize that you were the guy who I met you. Thank you.
That's good. That's good. Yeah. Fair enough. So thanks a lot for your briefing. Could you talk a little bit more about the military situation? I mean, just before and then since the burning, as you put it, or the capture of El-Fashir by the RSF, and especially also what this has meant for the joint force of armed struggle movements. Of course, the RSF now control El-Fashir and the surrounding areas, but there are still areas in North Darfur that they do not control. The Sahara, for example, and the areas around Tabila as well, of course. What is the situation there, and what do you expect that the RSF are pushing there as well, or what has been your experience since the 26th of October with regard to these areas as well, and the joint forces in particular?
Yeah, maybe one or two questions, and then we'll go in rounds.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. My name is Julien Binet, and I'm with Amand here. We're working for Doctors Without Borders, Médecins Sans Frontières.
Which branch?
Yeah, so Amand is the French branch from Paris, and myself, I'm from Brussels. So today we're working in all the Darfurs, as you may know, and in North Darfur, MSF France is close to is in Tawila, and hopefully, I mean, we are discussing to see for what next. And on our side in the Belgium MSF, we are in Tinée and Cornouille, so in the North Corridor. So first, thank you really for this briefing and this opportunity, because I think it allows us to ensure that we can have our operations in the ground, and it's really appreciated. And I want to personally thank His Excellencies, because recently we had a security incident in Khartoum in Bashir Teaching Hospital, and I know you were really involved to support us, and we've been through a lot of issues since 2023. It's really hard to be a humanitarian in Sudan today, and we appreciate your support since the beginning. So I had also a bit the same questions on the joint forces controlled area today. How do you see a bit the situations? Because we want to work there, obviously. And for us, one of the main difficulties is access. Difficulties to go there, to work there. So I really appreciate the support you give us to make sure we can have the visa, the importations. So that's really helpful for us, and it needs to continue in those difficult times. And I wanted also to see what you advise us. What would you advise the humanitarian organizations in this context? What would be your advice as a Sudan government to see how we should position and go? So that would be a question.
Thank you. The military situation, even before El-Fashir or after or now, I believe it is obvious. It's obvious. Yes, we are not in the field right now, you and I, but the people are still resisting and fighting. Those huge resource and sophisticated arms, those coming from Emirates, occupying areas, air and ground, up-to-date arms. And a lot of arms has been discovered there. European countries. There's a lot of fingers discovered there in El-Fashir, used to kill a genocidal fascists. I believe one of the signal that has been founded is Germany armies has been founded, unfortunately. British army has been founded. Canadian has been founded. Chinese has been founded. But we don't have it. And Sudan Armed Forces has not those arms. Joint Forces has not those arms. But they are protecting their life. And as I said, still they will die for the last bullet. This is the insistence of the people of Sudan and those surrounded behind the Sudan Armed Forces and behind the institutions of the Sudan. This is our desire. Militarily, yes, you can see periodically sometimes the movements of the RSF from place to place. But I don't think that they will win the end. The end will win by the people of Sudan and desire of the people of Sudan. That's describe the position of the Sudan armed forces on the ground right now. And that's why I can say that the toppling of 1 or 2 or 3 cities is not the indicate the strongness or the powerful of the certain party should follow to the end. Number 2, the RSF's position and what I can expect from the position of the RSF or the features of the RSF. RSF is tool. RSF at all, they don't know where they stop the last bullet. They don't know where they stop or they will shoot the last bullet. I think this is very clearly. They don't know that one. It is only tool of the Emirates. I don't know if there is some countries behind the Emirate or not, but what is obvious is Emirate. One day I was discussing with some guys, gentlemen and ladies like you guys. I asked also questions similar like that. I said, when we be bombed by Emirate in Port Sudan, it was the morning time.
He was in Addis. He was heading towards Port Sudan.
Yeah, yes.
But
You were there.
No, I
He was in
I was
Addis.
almost there.
Okay.
In Addis, yeah.
You were
Day
lucky.
before.
But the embassy tried to, or facilitated my visit, but
Yeah.
ultimately it didn't come to fruition because of the attacks.
Okay. At that time, I was talking just in the afternoon also, before the afternoon, like 11 o'clock. I was in contact with someone close to Abdurrahim, is the brother of Hameti. He was telling me very surprisingly that Abdurrahim, he never know up to the 7 o'clock in the morning that Port Sudan has been bombed. You see, up to the 7 o'clock. He's the guy who is commanding the RSF everywhere and in the control of everywhere. But he never know that Port Sudan has been bombed. Exactly, that's why I'm saying that. Nobody knows the future of the RSF. But from our side, I said, RSF must do 1, 2, 3, 4, and then, and let us we go to the reconciliations of ourselves as the Sudanese, when they single out themselves from this biggest numbers of the people of the mercenaries. I think they are Sudanese. The Sudanism is push us to reconcile ourselves. But while the mercenaries are using our country, are using our people, our resource, and violating our sovereignty, it's difficult to identify the future of RSF. I don't know. This is the answer. MSF, you are most welcome, please. Thank you very much. We've been working with you for a long time, even before the war. And immediately after this war occurred, is the first organization that they insisted to continue to be in El-Fashir up to the last time. In a Zamzam from El-Fashir, from Tawila, in the different areas is the MSF. Either that French or Belgium. And that is why we thank you very much for your effort, those you paid and still you are doing and dedicated to serve our people. Thank you. But regarding your question, The difficulties you have been facing, I don't know, these difficulties can be answered by a diplomat. I don't know, I'm not the diplomat, but I believe you people, you can answer it, because many questions does come in, and many times we hear this similar questions coming from the different organizations, not only MSF. The difficulties of getting the visa in the accurate time and the appropriate manner, I don't know, but these are the questions that we are. Lately, we will give the floor to Madame, who will answer you. The government of Sudan never changed the position. It's welcoming all organizations, NGOs, United Nations organizations, from the different corridors, international corridors from the west of Sudan. Adria is open, Tina is open. From the South Sudan, the area of the Wow is open, Air is open, Red Sea is open, and from the upper north, I believe Medina the Masr da اسمه منو؟ Swan, I believe it's a Swan's corridor is open. It's open everywhere, while there is no violations. I think the government of Sudan's policy is very open and welcome. If there is some kind of the obstacle here and there, I don't know, because this is not my position to answer any kind of obstacle. If I got any specific complaint from you, I will discuss also with my colleague in the embassies. Shukran.
If I may add, Your Excellency, I will start from where you stopped. If there is any particular difficulty, of course, we, not only here in Germany, because you are not residing here, maybe also to our embassies in your respective countries. I'm sure they are open, and we are still open here. And this is what we usually tell our interlocutors in the humanitarian community. First of all, I think His Excellency, he almost answered the question. Since the beginning of this war, I think the government has taken concrete steps by opening land, air, ports across the border. All the national airports have been opened, including the Kadugli airport, including also Adri crossing with Chad, which was a very problematic crossing due to the situation in the area, despite the fact that it poses a lot of security concerns to the government, yet they continue to keep it open until today. In addition, there are also very active HAC and other authorities working in Port Sudan and elsewhere. And it is interesting to note, however, that while all like areas like Port Sudan, the airport, the port itself, different areas which are safe, it is there is access there. You can come in with your support, with your humanitarian support and everything. But we don't know about the issue of access. There might be challenges, definitely, due to the fact that the situation is not normal. We have to face that. And we have limited, I'm sure, the HAC people and others, maybe they have limited staff. And of course, the whole situation is posing a lot of challenges. That is why they have to deal with thousands. The other issue is, here at our level, we continue on weekly basis to provide the Foreign Office, the humanitarian community here, with regular weekly report on humanitarian issues, on visa issuance, on access, and all issues relating to the delivery of humanitarian assistance. Even with delegations visiting Port Sudan, this is the standing, it's a standing order that please just provide us. With the UN, the government has already expressed its full, not long time ago, its full readiness, and they're working very, very well with the UN agencies, and I'm sure. But we continue just to say that if there is any particular case, I think you have to put it forward And this issue of access, I don't know what else can be done, in addition to opening all these areas I was telling you about. But of course, in the difficult areas, definitely the RSF is posing a lot of difficulties by looting, by stopping, by burning. Even if they, open the way, we don't know if the humanitarian assistance would reach the affected population. I think His Excellency is coming from there, so he knows much better than me. So please, the last thing I can say, just provide particular cases if you have, be it here at our level or at the level of Port Sudan or at the level of our respective embassies elsewhere.
If you may allow me, Excellency, I just wanted to add that we had a meeting very fruitful with MSF 2 weeks ago, immediately after the fall of El-Fashir. And we raised a matter of the IDPs who moved all the way from El-Fashir to Al-Dabba. And I asked them a specific question, if they have any plan or intention to go to Al-Dabba, because in Al-Dabba there is no problem of access. So the answer was that they are assessing, they are having assessment. So we observed that when there is an access to different places, there is no contribution from organizations, to be frank with you. Because we know that humanitarian assistance based on principles of neutrality, impartiality, we appreciate what you are doing. But when it comes to areas which are very accessible, even before the fall of Al-Fashir, we have IDPs who return after the liberation of Khartoum and Al Jazeera, 2 million or more, they return back to Al Jazeera and Khartoum. Access is there. The organizations were not very active. I mean, you have WFP doing something. Even currently in Al-Dabba, you don't recognize that there are a lot of humanitarian organizations. When it comes to some areas where there are some problems, the issue is the flag of access. And it's always generic. We keep telling we need specific issues. Like we have a problem of visa for X organization. We applied on this day, and there is a delay. This is very important because I remember the issue of ADRI. The government keeps renewing the opening of this was not highly appreciated. One time it was closed unilaterally by Chad, and it was declared there was nothing about this closure of the cross of Adri by Chad. So I think we need to be a little bit more impartial and holistic on those issues. We are still awaiting the organizations to go to Al-Dabba, Khartoum, Al Jazeera. The most important thing, the issue of using starvation as a weapon of war, because Sudan is very rich in terms of resources. So we need the support to the people, to the government, to have the agricultural seasons be build and prepare all the needs for this rather than depending on aid.
Yeah, let me also add one more thing about the some procedural issues. We were also receiving a very important report. If there are cases of delay, it appears that, especially from some international NGOs and even some UN agencies, the delay was based on lack of information regarding the application for the delivery itself. And actually there was such a, criticism against the government and its authorities dealing with humanitarian issues and humanitarian access. And eventually when they asked those certain organizations to come up with the difficulties, particular difficulties they are facing, it showed that they were lacking in the application itself and to abide by certain procedures regarding the delivery and the work of humanitarian agencies, to the extent that they even apologized for this. That is why it is very important to come forward and to say exactly what is your particular concern. And then about the Dabba, my colleague, he rightly said so. When the people they left Tawila and all the areas which are much closer in terms of distance to Al-Fashir, they took all the way to Al-Dabba, which is very far, I think 800 kilometers or something like that. We could see it as Sudanese, we see it every day on national TV. Actually, until recently, there was none no international organization, no UN agency reaching the people in the Dabba. It was based on one businessman who took the courage to establish this camp. And then the people, the normal people, came up with their food, support, and so on and so forth, the local communities, the host communities. And eventually we could see one tent belonging.
The Qataris are
Yeah,
there.
the Qataris were there, and some of the Turkish as well, and others, And then eventually we saw some tents coming from, I think, IOM or UNHCR, but only WFP recently, only like 2 weeks ago, something like that. So we do have the feeling that when you talk about access, you mean certain areas. Yeah. But the people, if we forget about what is happening in El-Fashir or in Darfur generally, if we talk about areas which have been liberated like Al Jazeera or even Khartoum, the need is still there. And the access is there. But nothing is happening.
Assessment is
So,
still
but the assessment, you always hear about assessment. We know we respect your regulations, we respect your procedure that you follow, but still we do feel we have been working in this field for a long time as diplomats. We know how the humanitarian thing is being administered, but we know there are many shortcomings. But this does not prevent us from, of course, expressing our appreciation, great appreciation and thanks to what the international organizations are doing to our people, and also the UN agencies. Of course, it goes without saying. But we need some transparency to express your concern. What is it exactly? This is what is lacking.
Thank you very much.
Well, if I may, I think what you're expressing here is also that we have seen, and not just in Sudan but everywhere, is a cut of fundings as well on the humanitarian activities. And so, like MSF, I'm not just want to talk about MSF, we're doing what we can, and we are not funded by donors, just individual and private donors. So we are not facing exactly the same issues. We are doing what we can. We're in Tawila and we are supporting the population. We were in El-Fashir. And we want to have access to the population if there are still people who are trapped there. But I think what Sudan is going to face more and more, and I would like to hear from you, what is the impact of the cut of fundings for all these UN organizations and all the organizations today to provide help. And you just gave already an example that the lack of reactivity, that is also the consequences of the cuts of funding that we can see from all the institutional donors today.
Yeah, we all know, if you allow me, Your Excellency.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
You're welcome, please.
Recently, Mr. Tom Fletcher visited Tawila and visited the area, and of course, he couldn't have access to Al-Fashir, we all know. He said it very clearly. He talked about the same points you just raised. He was talking about a percentage, 32% only, of the pledged support to the humanitarian response, which is really, I'm sorry to say, but it is even shameful. We all know that what happened since the beginning of this war, the attention was not on what is happening in Sudan. The attention was elsewhere. Although, protection of civilians everywhere around the world is a concern to everyone. But still, what is happening in Sudan was not only forgotten, but it was ignored completely. And even now, after genocide, massacre after massacre, is still, we're just talking about condemnation, which is okay, but it's still no concrete action. What we need is action. And one of the actions is for the donor community to fulfill their pledges to international organizations and to the UN agencies who are doing the work on the ground. And this is very important. But I agree with you totally. It is one of our concerns.
If I might come back to Governor Minawi,
You're welcome.
actually to my and I guess also your original question, because that was, as I understood, also your question, not just about the administrative access or bureaucratic access, that's one thing, and that's for the humanitarians and the government to discuss, but also about the security situation, right? I believe MSF withdrew from Tina some weeks ago, for example, right? That I think that's also what I would like to know, not just with regard to access for humanitarians, but in general, also of course, also for the people living there and for the joint force. You know, what is the security situation in those areas currently under control of the joint force in Darfur, in North Darfur, and what do you expect could, you know, to happen? I mean, we've seen, of course, the RSF advances in Kordofan in recent weeks, but less, perhaps at least less than I know of in that areas. These, you know, after the fall of El-Fashir, so I would be very interested in that. And if I may add just one other question, because recently it's been also, I mean, you mentioned the international peace efforts or mediation efforts, yeah, including the court. So there were different reports, but initially there were apparently indirect talks and you know, with high-level officials, both from the RSF and the government in Port Sudan, involved with the court countries. To what extent, but of course nothing, you know, was agreed, but to what extent were you consulted, involved during this time? That I would be very interested as well.
The area where you mentioned the security situation in that area, if we compare with the other areas, for example, we followed a lot of measures. Just 2 weeks ago, I appointed the person who should take responsibility of the government in that area, Tina, Kornoi, and Borus localities, these 3 localities. The special person for who representing the governors of Darfur is there. I appointed someone from Port Sudan. He reached just yesterday. This is the level of the governing and presence of the kinds of the government in that area, so as to not leave the vacuum for the mess and so on. Number 2, the joint forces are there in the borders, Kornoi, Atina, and the different areas, the wider areas in that area. They are there, but the security from the ground, nothing's there up to now, no challenges up to now, but from the air, even yesterday, Ambor was bombing by the drones. This is the last update from the area. Tina was bombed just 2-3 days ago. And Kornoi's hospital has been bombed and destroyed. I believe you people were there. I don't know you had this information or not.
Yes.
Hospitals
Exactly.
being destroyed by the RSF's drone. And the targeting of the infrastructures is going everywhere. Regarding the international, the movements for peace, quartz, and the fundamental positions of the government of Sudan, personally, I believe nothing called quartz. There are 3 countries. We must listen to them and exchange the idea and the concern with them, which is Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and USA. But when you say quartz, when you add Emirate, this is irrelevant quartz. Why? Because Emirate is the fueling and ignited and commanding the war in Sudan. how to be the part of the facilitators or the mediators. This is a big joke. Nobody will accept that one. So this is clearly that's a statement of the government, and it is my personal position also. The consultations, yes, there's levels of the consultations within the discussions of the general issues, especially to the people of Sudan and the government that's composed from the people. They have united destiny, which is all of us. We have to protect our country. We have to protect our sovereignty. We have to protect our dignity. That's the uniting us to move forward for discussion about any peace process that can be discussed in the future and even right now. And we are exchanging our ideas. We are discussing within ourselves and consulting each other in order to take every process before take place. And this is what is going on.
عندي سؤال حتى بالعربي لو عايزة تسأله.
أنا عايزة أعرف بنفسي أول.
أي تفضل يا بنتي.
My name is Nisrina Mukashawa. I'm the head of mission of CADUS in Sudan. CADUS, new organization in Sudan, German organization, and work in emergency. My question is about the humanitarian situation in El-Fashir. It's so difficult to do assessment or to share any information. Sometimes we get more information from not one source or something like that. Just in health emergency, my question is, you have one canal or government source for get a report or anything about number, figures of people in needs, and some facilities have facilities, is working or not working or like that, or we want to know more about the situation. And also I want to thank some ambassador and embassy for support organization and government for Sudan for facilitate all of the process in the ground. Thank you.
Yeah, CADUS is one of the latest German organizations who have just applied and they got, I think, their application accepted.
طلب من هنا recommendation.
يستغنى لهم الشغل بتاعهم كله يعني الترتيبات بتاعتهم يعني المنظمة.
اسمها شنو؟ كادو؟
كادوس.
كادوس. كويس. زمان نحن نعرف بارغوف.
باركوف.
بارغوف.
باركوف المركز بتاع البحوث.
وين هي؟
موجود باركوف. Foundation.
Is the highest Barkov Foundation.
Yeah, they are here. Gerrit knows them, maybe.
Of course. And I know them. You also had interactions with them previously.
Yes. Thank you very much. You know, right now, if somebody tells you that information in El-Fashir fully available or flowing very well, that's not true. Because we are using very specific channels. Those even, they cannot speak anywhere louder, and they cannot use even the communications tools or the everywhere. Sometimes we hear from somebody just transport it from El-Fashir to Tawila, and then from the third person in Tawila you can speak to him, and so on. This is the way that we are getting information from El-Fashir. But we have the specific channels, those working by, there are also specific institutions of the government of Darfur, like Secretary of Humanitarian and Social Affairs. And they have a lot of resources. And many people, they are still there inside the Fashir. And some of them, sometimes they move to toilet and coming back, and so on. And those, the source that we are using them. But the situation is difficult. It's difficult. I can't understand more than what I said right now. Still, you and I need a lot of effort to know more and more.
Are there still people inside El-Fashir trapped in there? As far as your information available?
They push people to return to the Fashir while they were fleeing outside at that time. And some of them also they brought from abroad, from outside. They brought just to pretend that the civilians still are living and so on. Yes, this is what happened. But I don't think that the civilian and those the owners of the houses in El-Fashir, some of them remain in El-Fashir.
Yeah. So I think, unless you have other queries, I think.
Martin, you have anything?
Martin?
Yes, I would like to ask a question. Multitasking. I have a very specific question, Your Excellency. According to Amnesty International, the Nimar.
Yes.
Nimar is
yes.
Taika.
Tiger. Nimar was spotted in Sudan as well as in Darfur during RFS operations. And the Airbus A400M is also suited to transport the Nimar. And now there are talks between Airbus and the United Arab Emirates to produce the A400 in the Emirates.
Primarily, we got every information. Weapons or all items those being discovered in Al-Fashir or elsewhere. The primarily information are not capable to just give you the full analysis about those information because it will subject to the technical assessment in the future. But what you mentioned, that's Nimir and the other weapons been discovered in Al-Fashir and in Darfur, in everywhere, in different ways. At the end, I think this need to get the more details from the intelligence services and the technical side of those specific information.
I may add that there is an embargo, an arms embargo. So I think
it's not
that
working. Emirat is violating everything. It's violating UN, violating Security Council, violating European Union, violating everywhere. Emirat is become its god. Is violating everything.
So you can confirm that Nimar and other arms were spotted in Darfur, in your region?
Definitely. This information is definitely this happened.
Even in the German media, there was even a TV show.
Yeah. The issue of the Airbus was raised at the Bundestag during the last session, which was called for by the Greens and the Die Linke. And it was raised by many MPs that at the time the Bundestag is calling for the suspension of the military agreements with UAE. I mean, the last deal was signed in 2024, $150 million. They said we are asking for the suspension of this, but in the contrary, the government is negotiating a deal with the the Airbus company with the UAE.
To manufacture in the Emirates.
Absolutely. Yeah. So This was raised by the Bundestag.
Could you just comment again on this project to manufacture the Airbus A400M in the Emirates?
I don't know that.
It was raised by the Bundestag, so they're saying we need you to stop doing this. I mean, we need you to suspend the cooperation, the military cooperation between Germany and UAE. I mean, you are still talking about strategic partnership, while UAE is killing the people in Sudan. So it was raised by the German MPs, especially the opposition parties. And I think it's very obvious, and we support that. At the end of the day, we need the pressure on UAE to stop the fueling of the war in Sudan.
I think the cornerstones on this war is Emirat. While Emirat is diplomatically has the free movements and making a lot of allies with the different countries, and it is also become the more influential country in the Security Council and different countries, on the expense of the people, life, and human value. The war will not stop. It will be also, the war will also continue to the elsewhere. I believe including those countries now, the allies with the Emirates, especially in the borders with the Sudan, the neighboring countries with the Sudan like Chad, South Sudan, they will face one day the same, the same problem after Sudan become stable. So the fundamental question that we, as the government of Sudan and the people of Sudan, is asking, why Europe forget the values? This is the question that's going on, because Emirates, investments, companies, and even diplomatically, it is movements and all the motions that they are using for this access and freely the funding, freely funding and supporting and equipping the RSF, because it gets a lot of friends in Europe, a lot of friends in UK, in US, and UK, and so on. So this is the only question that is going on right now in Sudan. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very